Hello and welcome to the Quackcast. I'm Ozone Ocean. With me is Baines. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So we're talking about all sorts of stuff, and mainly, our idea behind this Quackcast is being wrong. But there can be other themes.
Speaking of which, the Quackcast without Chance is just wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so wrong.
She's mad at us.
She's
But
furious.
hopefully.
Apoplectic Chance. So, theme song. Quackcast theme. Thunder Goddess or something. I think I stole it from, which is a Gummollus theme. Alright, so, yeah, being wrong. But before we get into that, Fiji's comic, Quackcast is going to give us Imago, Nebraska. So go for that, Quai.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Imago, Nebraska by Inky Moondrop, and it is rated M for mature. Theo Holloway departs the earliest morning train at the Shy Depot of the understated town of Imago, Nebraska. Holloway is an unassuming, solo-traveling craftsman with an antique luggage bag that looks as old as time. One of the few items in Theo's possession is Fyodor Dostoevsky's novel, The Idiot, and similar to Prince Mishkin, Theo's journey started aboard a train. Rose Vargas, a known kleptomaniac, has been rooted in Imago, Nebraska, and has worked her way up from the Grand Rock Motel to a waitress and spends her days chatting with the regular townsfolk. Rose and Theo's life paths are about to intersect over a $2.15 cup of coffee at the local diner, stirring up more questions than answers about their initial meeting. The art style in Imago, Nebraska uses a dreamlike filter that softens the edges of the harshness of reality. The story dives into visually and conversationally mature themes and is intended for an older audience, 16+. Discover the secret contents of Theo Holloway's mysterious trunk and read Imago, Nebraska by Inky Moondrop, rated M.
Thanks for that, Quai with Imago, Nebraska. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Gummollus' theme this week. He's given us a theme to a comic called Somewhere in the Universe, which was featured this year in May. So you can check that out. Check out this comic and see what it's about. But the music is a driving beat taking us on a road trip to a hot and heavy fiery groove town in a muscle car under the bright sun on burning vinyl seats, windows wound down and blasting us with oven air. But we don't care because we're rocking all the way. Take it away, Gummollus, with your theme to Somewhere in the Universe. Somewhere in the Universe. So, you enjoy that comic. Have a little read of it. It's a comic by Marky D, and it's rated T for teen. Okay, so let's get on with the Quackcast about wrong. Characters being wrong, wrongness, people admitting they're wrong.
Yeah.
Things
So
being
you're not
wrong.
sure. Yeah.
What was that?
You're not sure what inspired this topic?
No idea. Just the idea of being wrong, I suppose. And how liberating it is to admit you're wrong to people.
It definitely is. Yeah, I've seen like so many arguments, and I'm sure I've been in my own versions of these. Guaranteed, of course, only human. But yeah, I can remember like friends and relatives and stuff. Like a couple will be talking about something that happened. One of them will start telling a story and say that, well, in September, like we were at this, and then they're, someone will cut them off and say, no, it wasn't September, it was June. No, it was September because we were at the blah, 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 blah. No, it was June because, and it's like, is this germane to the story at all? Usually isn't.
It never is.
But it is funny, and there's definitely a charm to it. But yeah, it's like, wow, how are we going to agree on what actually happened that summer or fall if we can't agree on? If we either can't agree on the month or we can't agree, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, on the simple little irrelevant parts of it. My God.
Yeah. But I think there is a dynamic, and here now I'll talk about something I know nothing about really, since I'm not married, but being together a lot with people, like there is a dynamic maybe that comes where I guess being right helps you feel better, or being I don't know what it is exactly.
Oh, you mean like the natural impulse to be right, to be in the right?
Yeah.
Like
maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just a natural impulse and has nothing to do with it. If it's someone you're close to, maybe it is amplified, but maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just an impulse. My own memory for details is for a lot of things is so foggy that I would almost never argue the point. I mean, I would argue like what are the basic storylines of the Friday the 13th sequels? I'll die on that hill. But about like real life, was it September or June? Was it last night or was it 1978? I don't know. Like, whatever you say.
Yeah, I do think this being right is like an impulse that we all have, especially when we're stating our opinions and then someone contradicts them. That is the worst thing, especially when it's online. It's like, oh my God, you've emasculated me totally. I mean, that's a bit of a sexist thing to say, but I mean, it's like, you cut me off at the legs. How could you do that? You've destroyed the very essence of my soul. I'm postulating something. You've just said I'm wrong about it. My God, how could you do that? That's the worst insult you could ever give someone.
Yeah, if you have a well thought out and well reasoned argument you're really satisfied with, I guess this speaking for myself, then someone just says, no, it's not that, it's this. Yes. That does feel, why should it matter? But it does. It cuts deeply for some reason.
It does. It's so freaking awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the worst thing. But, I mean, especially when you're younger too. I mean, there's some people who are older who can never admit they're wrong, and that's sad. But when you're younger, you're very, very much more concerned about, never admitting you're wrong. Like, you're always in the right, pretty much. And it's very hard to admit you're wrong. But as you go older, it's a bit easier to do that. Because you've gained that experience,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hopefully as you get older, you deal with it, even if those emotions are still there and everything. You kind of mature to a degree, and you can handle it better.
Yeah, there's that you can handle it better, but there's also that fact that you've gained the experience when you've actually been wrong so many times. Did you go?
Yes,
Hang on, maybe I'm being wrong again. Maybe it's
that
another one of
that's
those times.
yeah. More to the point, yeah. You should. We hopefully get better at. Our awareness is bigger. We say, "Oh, I don't know everything. Like I thought I did."
Exactly. Like I'm to the point now where I'm thinking, I'm pretty good at a lot of things. I'm really good at like artwork, and I'm good at this and good at that, but there's so much that I don't know about these things that I'm good at. There's just like so much, and even stuff that I know a bit about, a little bit about, that I think that I have a pretty good handle on. I know there's infinite stuff that I don't know anything about, so it's hard to have a strong opinion of whether you're right and wrong on this stuff, because there's infinite stuff that you don't know about, So it's being able to admit you're wrong about something when someone comes along and tells you is a very valuable skill, I think.
Oh yeah.
So let's relate that.
Sign of a healthy ego, I think. But go ahead.
Ego, but also it helps you learn more too, because then you're more open to adjusting your opinions, which is very important. So yeah, let's relate it to characters and stuff like that. And so one of the characters I mentioned in the Quackcast video, the Patreon video, was one of the creative things was Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And this started off as a webcomic. Can't remember who the author was, but they're a great person. And started off as a webcomic, became a printed comic, and then it became a major motion picture directed by our favorite director,
Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Edgar Wright, the guy who did Spaced, which is a lovely TV series, which I love, and a few other films. Baby Driver.
He's not Edgar Wrong.
He's not Edgar Wright.
That guy sucks.
He's Edgar Wright all the time.
Yes.
What else did he do? Bloody
Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, those two films that everyone loves. Those two films.
Yeah. And a couple others that not everybody loves, or at least I haven't seen them.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of people don't love Scott Pilgrim, and those people are wrong, and they'll just have to live with that.
Yeah, well, that's a growing experience for them to be wrong, I suppose.
It is. But say the reason I bring up Scott Pilgrim is because this is a great example of a character admitting he's wrong, and that being a really good thing. And of course, in this film, like, it's his job to beat the cartoonishly overpowered ex-boyfriends, or exes, not ex-boyfriends, it's exes, that's very important, of his new girlfriend, Ramona Flowers. In order for her to date him, he must beat her exes. And he does so in very, ridiculous and cartoonish ways, and it's very exciting and stuff like that. But as the film goes on, you see that he has some issues with various women himself. And we learn that they're actually his exes. And that's why he has these unresolved issues. And there's not these big cartoonish ones that Ramona Flowers, this new girl, has. Ramona had, with her exes. There are the more realistic issues he has with his exes. And in the end of the film, where, you think, oh, the resolution's going to happen because he's beaten all Ramona's exes. The resolution actually happens, it's because he makes peace with his own exes, which is a good thing. And he does that by admitting that he was wrong. And that was such a beautiful and, lovely and powerful way to have a resolution for that character and those other characters, I thought. Just not saying, oh yes, I was right all along, and I didn't need you anymore, and you didn't need me, and whatever. It's like he was saying, yeah, I was an asshole. I'm sorry for what I did. I was wrong, and that's how he resolves things with all these women, especially Knives Chow, which is the one we actually see him kind of break up with in the film for Ramona, and he ends up with her and resolves nicely, as well as these other characters. So yeah, I think that's a great example of a character admitting they're wrong, and it being a positive thing, and a positive for them, and a positive for everyone else. So,
oh yeah, you confront yourself and make realizations like that. That's great character growth. It's very inspiring.
And he actually literally confronts himself.
That's the we've talked about that scene over the years, like quite a few times.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that is one of my favorite films, and it has like that as a positive for it as well. Yeah, so he admits he's wrong, and that's a good thing. So there we are, a good example of wrongness being right.
The movie High Fidelity reminds me of it a bit. That's a movie I used to love. I don't maybe love it as much anymore. Over the years, it's become clear that this guy's kind of a dick. The main character.
He is a dick.
And it maybe drags a little bit, but I've always liked it, and the comedic scenes in the record store are fantastic.
Jack Black is fantastic.
Jack Black sort of put him on the map in a big way. But yeah, there's a scene near the end where this guy who's sort of trying to work things out with all his exes, like why do things never work? And he had this new like longer term girlfriend, and that thing ends, and it sends him on this journey trying to figure himself out and figure out his problems with his exes. And one of the best scenes is when a friend of his girlfriend, a friend of his ex, I think, confronts him at a funeral, and it's his ex-girlfriend's father's funeral, and so he's confronted by this friend, and the fact that she's like yelling at him for his behavior and all this kind of stuff. And he says, well, listen, like I can't keep apologizing. What am I supposed to do? Just apologize for the rest of my life? And she's like, I think just once would do. Powerful. So he goes to the sort of a few people ahead of him who are going up to the ex and saying they're sorry about the father. Like, I'm sorry. And he goes up to her and gives her this significant look and says, I'm sorry. And then he leaves. Very powerful. Maybe not the way I said it, but in the movie, it's a very powerful moment. And that right after that is like him goes out into the rain. He's on the bench and sort of talking to the camera, which he does through the whole movie. And sort of he makes that similar realization to Scott Pilgrim, I think, in a way, where it's like, he confronts everything, his new realizations about like, it was my fault. Like this new thing ending, like it's my behavior. And I never really committed fully, like blah, blah, blah. This whole like self-realization thing. So, very good.
Beautiful self-realization. I like that. That's one aspect of being wrong. Yeah, the whole self-realization.
Yeah,
oh, lovely.
Self-examination can be painful to do. That's why it happens late in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of examples of this stuff because it's so particular. Yeah.
I mean, this kind of thing is everywhere in a way, but yeah, it's not something you can necessarily talk about in every story, like the moment.
Well, relationship stuff like that, that's it. They're good examples of it.
Yeah.
Very good examples. Yeah, it's... Alright, so, the reality of thinking wrong. Have you had many examples of that? When you postulate your opinion online. Oh, no, I was just going to think of something before I get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the TV series version of High Fidelity?
No. No.
I tried to watch it. It's like totally gender swapped, but it was at this sort of like it happened before the fad of gender swapping for everything.
Okay.
And this was one of the earlier gender swapping kind of things they did. And I tried to watch it, and I watched the first episode. It's so freaking boring. And not because it's gender swapped, it's just dull. Because in a movie, it's very like in that particular movie, it's very concentrated. Because that all happens, you know, in like about 1.5 hours or whatever it is.
Right.
And it's like all there, it's immediate. But expanding that out for a TV series, it's just, why the hell would you do that? It becomes so tedious.
I mean, maybe you could do it as a sitcom. It depends how it's done, I suppose. Like,
for that example, the writers and the directors and the actors have to admit they're wrong, and they'll grow from it. It was dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you ever had a thing where, you know, you postulate your great, well thought out opinion online, or you respond to someone with an opinion based on, you know, stuff that everyone knows is right. Everyone knows is right, and then, but for both those examples, someone comes along and says, "Hang on, no, that's actually not true." Now, were you able to admit that you were wrong? You know, like, and did that feel like, oh my god, I'm being personally attacked because I posted my opinion here? It's so hard to deal with when someone contradicts you.
I've been contradicted powerfully by friends when I'm saying something, and it's embarrassing and it's painful. It shouldn't
embarrassing,
be.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I don't really do that online, like talk about my opinion. The few times I have, there are definitely examples of what you said.
They're always contradicting you.
Someone makes a better point, and I'm like, whatever.
Well, that's the end of me having opinions online.
Well, I'm out. I'm leaving the internet forever now. That's it.
I'll live in a cabin and I just cut myself off.
But I've had plenty of discussions with friends where they'll come up over the top from my point, and make a larger point that's more correct. And I usually like it. If it's when is it upsetting? I have to think about that. I'm sure there's
really
there's been
you,
times where
maybe?
It's like I care about something and I'm trying to make a point, and I get disagreed with, and I feel like, well, no, I think I'm right. That's when I get. That's the more upsetting stuff to me. It's like, no, I guess I don't mind being wrong. Really, it doesn't really bother me.
What about in your news post when you come up with a great idea or a great theory behind something, and someone goes, "Nope, that's actually all bullshit. You're wrong in all that."
I'm like, hey, someone commented. And I get excited.
Please tell me more about how wrong I love you commenting.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I guess I'm more upset at myself when no one comments. I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I should have spent a couple minutes thinking this through. How about you?
All the time. Jeez, I'm full of opinions, and people always contradict me. Although
It angers you, upsets you.
it has done in the past. Like it's in a weird position for me now because being an admin on Drunkduck for years, there means you have a little bit more status. Just not that much status because it's not that big a community, but you have a little bit more status, so you can get people being unconsciously a bit agreeing with you, you know, just because you've been around so long, I suppose. Or just because you post so much or whatever, and then they're agreeing with you, I think sometimes not just because of what you say, but for other factors. Right. And that can be a bit like, you know, like that's not agreeing with you just because I'm right, you're just agreeing with me just because I posted. And
Yeah.
And so for that, you can get fooled a bit because and this is a tiny smidgen, a minuscule smidgen of what big celebrities get.
Yeah.
Whereas they think, oh, my opinions must be right. I must be right in everything I say because people just automatically agree with me. So I can't be wrong. You know, this whole Trumpish thing and people like that. People always
any
agree
big
with
celebrity,
others.
who have the power to surround themselves with who they want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of the easy way to surround myself with people that make me feel good and tell me I'm right.
So if anyone disagrees with them, it can be massive. What?
Yeah.
The emperor has no clothes on? What are you saying? Of course I have beautiful clothes. Everyone says so.
Oh, good. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Love that story, by the way, that parable. Very powerful.
Yes, the little boy coming out and saying, yeah, he's naked. I can see his ding dong.
Hey, this one's naked, he is. He's naked, isn't
Exactly. I can see his willy. Of course, the movie Free Willy. That's what it was all about.
It was based on that. Emperor has no clothes. Sorry.
Precisely. But yeah, it happens to me a lot, but it also happens to me in the other way. Like people agree with you when you're not right.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had that tendency more in life. I'm not totally sure why, but to agree with people, to bolster them, it seems to make them feel good. I like agreeing with people as a natural impulse. I mean,
Yes.
but
it
annoys me too because if someone is like fake agreeing with me, I don't like it. You know.
Yes, it's gonna be just as
very
bad.
Strange. Yeah.
You're so right, Baines. You're so right.
That's often a weird feeling, yeah. So I kind of like it. Someone as a counterpoint. I don't really like arguing for no reason. Like I really don't like that, or disagreeing or debating for what I consider to be no reason. But someone fake agreeing is, they're both not good.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's funny that. We want genuine kind of engagement, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
Like genuine agreement as well as disagreement. Both are good as long as they're sincere. Like insincerity is shit.
Yeah.
There we are.
Or a combativeness, which I don't know how that connects to insincerity, but it's like, if we're talking about some kind of world issue or some kind of big topic or even a personal topic or something, like this dynamic of like we're fighting each other, like no, we're trying to resolve a question or maybe resolve a problem. Like so those conversations can be amazing with friends, where we're trying to get to the truth of something.
Exactly. Working together on something is better than an adversarial approach where you're working against each other on the thing.
Yeah.
And and admitting you're wrong is part of a working together thing. It's way more interesting than someone saying, "Oh, your ideas are all shit," and then you're saying, "Oh yeah, they are shit. That's true. You win, buddy." That's that kind of thing. That sucks. But if someone says, "Yeah, but could we do this a bit better?" Or maybe that aspect is not actually true, and you go, "Oh yeah, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe that's not actually true. How could we do it better?" That working together kind of aspect is way more interesting, and that can be for any approach. Like if someone's making a post online and they take that approach of the working together and trying to help you, that's lovely. Like so many aspects of admitting you're wrong are good. Like even say your pronunciation of something. So if someone corrects you and says, no, actually, it's far more interesting and worthy to say, oh, yeah, actually, You are right. Your pronunciation, that helps me. Thank you for that. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
That's good. Unless their correction is bad, and then they can just shut.
Yeah. Speaking of impulses, I had this impulse to start going to YouTube and correcting people's spelling, but doing it wrong. Luckily, I didn't didn't invest the time in that. I think it would be a huge waste of time. And it might be funny, and then I thought I could post the screenshots as a webcomic, but I haven't done it.
Oh my god, that would be genius.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it. Maybe it is worth it.
It so is. Oh jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look every aspect of the whole thing. Admitting you're wrong, it can be so powerful. I'm trying to relate this more to what characters have done and stuff like that in my own characters, but I think have had Pinky sort of admitting she's wrong in some comics, in some stories. And that made me feel better as a writer because it means that the character is aware of their own faults.
Right.
Which means, that kind of self-awareness makes a more powerful, more interesting, rounded character.
Yeah, true. It's such a delicate balance, like a character being wrong or doing the wrong thing. I've done a bit of it in Kaiju Valentine because you have to. But it's always, it's a nerve-wracking moment because, at least it's for me, it's like you don't want to go too far. I don't mind making characters flawed. I like it. But it's like the likability factor, like turning people against the character. I'm like, gotta be careful, At least maybe I'm too cautious. I don't know, but I'm always like, I can't make the main character do something that's going to turn people against them or behave in a way that's going to make them hate him.
Okay, but I love Alina, and she's a bad girl. So
yeah, I mean this is one reason why side characters are often they're way more interesting than main characters because writers have this hesitation.
You got the freedom with the side characters.
Yeah, I mean, and you have it with main characters too, but people are cautious. I think it's pretty common to want them to be likable and stuff, and they can end up becoming bland. So
depends on the kind of main character, of course.
True. Yeah.
So I think of Al Bundy, who is always wrong, or Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Like
those main characters don't have this problem. They're beloved characters.
It's more interesting when they are right. It's like, oh, what's happened? No, that's weird. Yeah. Yeah. That is a thing. I mean, Kaiju Valentine is a special sort of a thing. It's developing. You've got Maxie and Minnie, and they're all two main characters, and we love them. And little Maxie, little big-eyed rabbit Max,
yeah,
tiny little man.
But you want them to be you want them to be people that readers root for. There seems to be that, but I'm also like, well, I want to give them problems, and all the problems can't come from outside because being human means making mistakes,
And you have had that with Max, you've had him stowing away when he shouldn't have done that.
Yes. I mean, I made it an accident, a pretty unbelievable accident. That's another story.
And you have Minnie doing things that, seem suspicious.
Right.
Like her seeming to, having these police people follow her and stuff like that. And we're thinking, oh no, what's Minnie up to? Should she be there? What's she, oh yeah, and then you had the idea that Minnie's people are going to invade Max's world.
Or the suspicion. Well, there you go. That's one. Yeah, he believed in a very Three's Company kind of misunderstanding. I really underlined it with the misunderstanding. He believed that Minnie and her people were going to invade his world. People listening to this are going like, "What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't understand anything you're talking about." But yeah, that was a misunderstanding. He was completely wrong about that and acted on that basis. So yeah, there you go, wrongness. That was a little tough too, but
oh, that was beautiful. You set that up to be a beautiful joke. So
oh,
all right.
I'm glad. Yeah.
So for people that don't know,
yeah, people seem to like it.
People
What
who
I
don't-
was more thinking.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to give an introduction into okay, so Kaiji Valentine's, the idea is Minnie is this giant, huge woman like Gulliver from Gulliver's Travels, who's finds herself in this world of us, pretty much, you know, us normal-sized people in our world, and she's this gigantic woman, and she falls in love with Max, this normal-sized guy. And yeah, they're in a relationship together for some reason in this huge house, and it's just about their daily relationship as this enormously size disparity couple. But towards this part of the story we're talking about, Minnie has to go back to her land of giants, and Max stows away. And then all hijinks happen. So anyway, it's a spoiler. It's freely available to read, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the dock.
Yeah. So we'll have a link to Kaiji Valentine for this.
Thank you.
So tell us about your thing that you were going to talk about.
Yeah, well, the thing on the most recent pages that I kind of struggled with, like the likability. I'm like, are people going to think he's a jerk or she's a jerk? And it's to do with their relationship. So she's like emotional about something and worried about something. I won't go into the details. It's in the comic. But, and he's glib about it. And that maybe is enough to drive what seems to be a wedge. He's got doubts about the relationship. She might have doubts about the relationship. But I'm like, I don't want him to be a jerk. You know, like they're not. They're good people. But in relationships, I know from my own life, like I try to be an okay person. I fail and succeed, you know. But I've definitely been glib when I should be emotional and said the wrong thing plenty of times, you know. So, but I guess doing that with a fictional character, at least for me, I was like, oh gosh, is this going to be okay? He makes a dumb joke, and she's like sort of vulnerable in that moment, and he does it without thinking. It's just a little moment. It seemed to work for everyone. No one seemed to even notice or care. So I think it worked. It did its job, I think, and we'll see what happens going forward.
Meanwhile, Minnie is dying inside.
Yeah.
No,
but it's like he's in this different world. It's like, shouldn't she be caring about him more? But she's dealing with her own stuff. He's dealing with her own stuff. It's that kind of thing that I'm like, kind of threading the needle, making it believable and having problems, or, you know, feared problems at least.
Yeah.
And they don't all, like I said, they don't all come from the outside. There's outside pressure, but it's like, well, they're not perfect people either. They, in the wrong moment, say the wrong thing. So that was it.
Let's make some more interesting characters and a relationship more interesting and believable because of it.
Yeah.
That's how relationships go.
And it creates story, most importantly. Okay, now we have, creates an emotional thing and a question and some doubt and all that good stuff.
Oh, very important. So you've been wrong in relationships, Baines. What? No, surely.
Well, once. I wore a clown nose to a funeral.
Oh. No. Of course you did. Oh, dear.
Yeah, I mean, that's the appeal of like time travel stories and those kind of emotional sci-fi stories. It's like you think about, oh man, this moment, I can think about a few moments like, man, I knew what to say and it would have been true, but I didn't say it. And I wonder if that was one of the things that ruined that relationship eventually.
Yeah. Oh my God, so many of those.
So, but just yeah, you could write a list. But I mean, being attached to that stuff is not a good idea.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Gotta let it
Yeah.
go, man.
Nostalgia is basically the urge to be to retcon everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Retconning is shit.
Yeah.
Don't retcon stuff.
Remember
Star
in Annie
Wars.
Hall? Yeah, Star Wars. Exactly. In Annie Hall, Woody Allen's a playwright or a writer, and he breaks up with Annie, and then at the end of the movie, you see his play, and in the play, his conversation with Annie, where they broke up, is now changed, where they commit to each other and stay together. And then Woody Allen's character kind of looks at the audience and says, looks into the camera, and he goes, "Hey, what do you want? It was my first play." So, but I think we try to fix things in writing sometimes.
Retrospectively, yes,
Yeah.
Well, we take on our mistakes and we learn from them in a way, and sometimes we try and justify ourselves, which is bad.
Yeah, I think that is. I don't know if that's good or bad, or if it's part of the process. But yeah, you have to get past that trying to justify for certain things anyway, and just say, yeah, I was wrong. Maybe it was the wrong thing to say, or the wrong thing to not say, or whatever. It was wrong to not say this or that. I'm like, oh man, I had these feelings and thoughts, and I should have said it, kind of thing. But you have to move. You have to move past it.
Yeah, you do have to move on, and sometimes there were no right things to say anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Often there's that. I mean, speaking of time travel, there's this idea like, oh yes, if you could time travel, you could go back in time and kill Hitler, and as a baby, and then there wouldn't be the whole Third Reich. But then you think, would that have even made any freaking difference? Look at the political structure of the people there, and it wasn't just one guy running the whole World War II and Third Reich. That's a very childish myth, and it probably wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like with things ready to break, like just larger conditions ready to go in some direction, probably, right?
Exactly. So sometimes there are no right answers. Everything's wrong. Everything. Yeah, so that's an important lesson to learn as well.
Absolutely.
Even in relationships. I mean, like you can, like we give the example of the Scott Pilgrim and he's sort of admitting he was wrong in these things. But often in relationships, yeah, you as a person can be wrong. But what the other person was doing was wrong as well, and often you just were not right for each other. That situation was just like it's very powerful to admit your own wrongness, but even if you hadn't been wrong, it still wouldn't have worked out.
Absolutely.
It's not that the other person was like, oh yeah, we were both at fault. It's just that this situation was just not going to work out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, there's that. Wrongness everywhere. That's why Tance can't be with us in this Quackcast anymore. No, she's busy today.
Yeah.
We're just pretending with Tance. Yes. There's no wrongness there. Oh yeah. So we've still got 20 minutes or so of this Quackcast left. Let's think of some more wrong examples of things.
Examples of what? Well, yeah. What should we get into now? Let's get into this topic now. We've got 20 minutes left.
Oh dear, like forum posts, for example, or social media posts.
Yeah.
Like I can think of my own examples. I mean, these days, all right. What I do these days is like I have this hair trigger, like most people do. You see a comment in like on a YouTube video or something like that, or Instagram post or whatever. And when someone goes blah blah blah, do you think, oh god, that's wrong? I'm going to have to correct this person with my genius opinions and my knowledge that I know about this thing. But rather than just have a hair trigger for that, I often go and look it up first to see if my answer really is what I thought it would be. And then I find out, oh, okay, so maybe it is a more complicated situation, and this person wasn't exactly wrong, and it's not worth commenting after all. I'll forget this. Camelot is a silly place. Let's not go
there. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's a good impulse.
Yeah,
I think
so too.
Second thinking rather than just hair triggering. Because a lot of what we think, our answers to things are based on rhetoric often. Oh, this is right because everyone says it's right. So I have to post about it. I have to correct you based on the general knowledge. But often that is just rhetoric. It's not actually really true. I'm just going based on, community belief. Yeah.
And it kind of calcifies. So sometimes it can be helpful to speak against that. I'm not great at that. I usually would do a similar thing to you, except for not looking up anything. I'd have the impulse to respond to something. And I'll just say,
that's not worth it.
Why? And the same with commenting at all on a video or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll just be like, nah.
What
for?
Nah. I've had situations where I've commented on an Instagram post, and it's just been liked by like 3,000 people, and then someone decides to contradict you, and you think, yeah, but 3,000 people agree with me, so who cares what you think?
I've never had that experience either. That must be heady and wonderful.
It's silly because it's just people liking stuff on social media, so it's
gives you some kind of hit, right? An emotional hit.
I mean, it would if I was younger, but now it's just a bit. Why did all these people agree with me? It wasn't that good.
Right.
I'm older and wiser now, so
nice.
But yeah, it's still interesting that it happens sometimes. Well, we've talked about in generalities. Can we talk about specifics?
Sure. And what sort?
I don't know. Like one of our favorite people on the forums is Bravo 1104. Is that what his moniker is?
Might be 1102.
1102. Okay.
We're hoping he'll get to 1104 if he keeps working.
He might upgrade himself finally. So yeah, now Bravo used to have this thing where he still does a bit, but he used to have this thing where he would correct people. And that could be galling sometimes, couldn't it? I mean, I think not everyone, but a lot of people on the site have gone through that. And Bravo is very brave in doing that. Because he'll just, go out there and like go on full attack and fully correct people. And we actually had a name for it. We call it Full Bravo. Going Full Bravo. It's named after
Love
him.
Bravo.
We absolutely love him. He's amazing. And as I'm saying this, it's not a criticism. He's like, really brave and like a very clever, very incredibly well-read, very knowledgeable person with a lot of life experience. So when he goes and corrects people, it can be a real education because he has done all this reading and had all this life experience and stuff like that. So
right,
you can learn a lot from being corrected by Bravo.
Yeah, he knows a lot of stuff, like yourself.
Oh, he knows more than me. I'll pretend to know as much as Bravo does. But yeah, being corrected by him is a good thing. So yeah, there's a real world example. I mean, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, you would do similar, right? Wouldn't you say? Seen plenty of those with you correcting or
Me
you.
correcting people. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes I'm right. Sometimes maybe it's just an impulse of point scoring, being a bit of a dickhead. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I can't really say that I'm a good guy. I correct people because I'm smart and I have the right opinion. That's a bit wankery to say. So maybe I do, or maybe it's point scoring. I don't know.
Yeah, we're all a complicated stew, we people.
Yeah, we are.
This is going back a few years now, but El Cid would often be the contradictory voice as well. You would do it, Bravo could do it, El Cid could do it, and I don't know, man. I appreciate that. I think unless I really am solid with something and I've really thought it through, which is only a few things. I'm not great at that overall. So I really value people who will take that opposing view in good faith. That's really valuable.
Oh, in good faith, yes, that's important. Yeah, if someone's just doing it, contradicting you because they want to be a bit of a dick, then it's not worth it. Not worth responding. That's a typical trolling, so to speak, isn't it? If someone just is harping for there's no value in it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's on the topic and I don't know. Yeah, I guess you have to go case by case. Like, well, how did you mean it? Well, how did you mean it? How did you take it? How did I take it? Emotionally or whatever, is one thing. And then, well, what about the actual subject? And that gets complicated.
When Bravo does it, it's always genuine. It's coming from a genuine position, so it's worthwhile. It's good. Sometimes Bravo can be a bit too much on the conventional, which can be when you're taking an unconventional approach to something and he just reels it back to the conventional. Sometimes that's a bit annoying because that's not really taking really examining the idea. It's just reeling it back to the conventional. But he doesn't do that very much. Usually he has his posts are his corrections to things are extremely worthwhile and very knowledgeable and well read and researched. So it's very worthwhile. Now, El Cid was someone who would give an unconventional response to things. When he would give a correction, it would be because he was looking at it from a very odd angle, and that would be quite interesting. Like, your immediate impulse was to say, oh no, you're wrong. But then you think, okay, no, that's an interesting way of looking at it. So you're not wrong, you're just right in a different way, possibly. So.
It's like the power of being challenged on something. If you don't react too emotionally to it, or if you do and then calm down, then it can be really valuable, man. It can strengthen your own position, or I mean, not even strengthen your position, but it can get you closer to the truth, give a more fully realized mentality on a subject, I guess. Mentality, is that the right word? Yeah, whatever.
I don't know. It's a good word.
Yeah.
I can't agree with you. I can't disagree with you on
it. They're just like a more full-bodied understanding of what you're talking about. Like if you say this and then someone like El Cid would often do contradict or seem to contradict, and then you could respond. And I didn't have I really liked him, and as far as I know, he's still alive and well. Hopefully so. But yeah, there were a couple times where he disagreed with me, and I'm really not great at that. But I had an answer for him, and he came over to my side, as all people should.
Yeah, as all people should. All people. There have been some times where I post something really controversial, that I thought was controversial, and I thought, oh my god, I've realized later, I thought so many people are going to vehemently disagree with me on this. I've
Right.
just been too afraid to go back to the forums and even look at it.
Really?
Like for a few days. Like that's
Yeah.
happened. I've thought I just dropped this bomb here and I just don't know
Wow.
what it's done. And then
Oh,
you go
wow.
back and everybody's agreed with it and you think, oh my god, what the
That's
hell?
so funny.
They've all agreed with it? What? No.
Like, wait a minute. I'm just a regular person? Stop. That's no good either.
Oh dear. That's so weird. That is so weird.
Yeah.
That happens. Yeah, exactly. So to find out you're not that far out is striking. But yeah, the whole thing, being wrong, but having the courage to admit you're wrong. Not being incredibly embarrassed about it either, but having the maturity to be able to accept it and to work through it and to learn from it.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing that's a hard skill to learn.
It's the mature way. I mean, the other end of the spectrum where I was coming from was like abandoning your position immediately if someone disagrees.
All right, I'm wrong. Bugger it.
That's not good either.
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is some value in defending a position. That's correct.
Of course. Yeah.
You can't just anytime someone challenges you, you don't. Yeah, just agree that you're wrong, because I mean the whole point about admitting you're wrong is when you're able to see that you're wrong. You're not just either abandoning a position or saying that you're wrong in order to avoid conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that's not making you feel any better as a person. And you're not, making yourself any better for that person. It's like, in the relationship, there's this old advice saying, yeah, if you're a man, you're always going to be wrong, and then, and I'm not saying that as a sexist thing. That is just the advice people would give,
Right.
And
That's sort of the
like,
common phrase or whatever.
And you just meant to say, oh yes, she's right. But that's in an actual relationship. That's not going to help you. That's not going to help your partner or you.
Yeah.
Just saying that they're right without actually believing it.
Yeah, you're right.
In order to avoid
well, you're
conflict.
right.
Yeah, that's really toxic, to use a horrible overused word.
It is. I guess it is really. Yeah.
It's
I
poisonous.
don't
That's
always
better.
know
It's
what that
venomous.
it's not good, man, and that would be my issue. I don't, maybe not in relationships, or maybe, but like among friends and among coworkers and everything. Yeah, that would be, I think, and then what you said about not wanting conflict, that was me. Still is, I suppose. I think I'm maybe not as bad, or I just don't interact. I avoid conflict so much that I'm broadcasting from a hilltop cave, mountaintop cavern.
Mountaintop
Wait.
bunker below the sea level. So it's all those things. You can't admit to either one.
I'm a tunnel in a mountain. No, I'm a tunnel in the sky. No, I see. Yeah, you're right. I can't admit to anything. It's horrible. But yeah, I've definitely had that, and it's been off-putting to friends and other people I know. So I hope I'm not as bad as I was when I was younger. But
oh dear. Yeah, I mean that can be just as bad as being obstinate and having to be right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Regardless.
It feels better because it's like the emotion and like feel the conflict. Like, well, you said it perfectly. Yeah, the conflict feels like, I don't want that.
Let's avoid it any way we can.
Yeah, that's not not the way either. Yeah.
So yeah, in relationships, you don't just say, "Oh yeah, you're right." You have to actually, and then, but you're not like the correct answer isn't to believe that they're right, because Right? That's just like brainwashing yourself. You have to sort of understand what the problem really is. And
if I understand what you're saying, it's like you say, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right," but you don't actually believe that. You're just like tamping down the conflict.
Yeah, that's bad. That's not good.
That's not
good at
good.
all.
You're not getting anywhere. Yeah, no one's mind has been changed or stimulated, and it's just like,
Yeah,
oh yeah. Anyway,
and you're not like, the problem they have isn't being solved or understood.
yeah,
So
it's just as worthless as like just screaming at each other and no one bends.
exactly. So they might be really hurting, but you're just saying, "Oh yeah, you're right," but you're not actually working out why they're hurting. Why is that problem there? So that's why all those stupid things about saying, "Oh, the woman is always right," is incredibly like toxic and bad and sexist. Like, no gender of person is always right.
Yeah.
You have to work out what is wrong. That's the problem. Taking it back to relationships.
Well, that's where this stuff can play out a lot, right? Because you have the firework. There's a lot of emotion to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like you're attached, and so this stuff can be tough enough with friends or coworkers or strangers online, but in a relationship, there's more at stake, I guess, emotionally, and it's just more.
Oh, very much so. And I suppose the other issue is you can't, in your job in an argument or in a relationship, in a self-examination in a relationship, is not to point out where the other person is wrong. That's something that you can't do, though. I mean, you have to address that, I suppose, but we're not talking about that aspect. We're talking about them finding out where you're wrong and you actually finding out, hang on, they're right about that. It's too complicated. We're not. This isn't the relationship cast.
No, wasn't even sure. Yeah, what that.
Well, what I was talking about there was the aspect of, we're talking about, that person's has a problem, and then instead of using self-justification to say, oh, no, that's, the two approaches you could have, it's either, oh, no, you're not right about that, you're completely wrong, blah, blah, I'm right. There's that one, or saying, oh, yes, yes, babe, you're completely right about that. And both those positions are problematic because what you should be doing is actually working out what the problem is rather than either opposing it or just agreeing with it. But the other approach is to go, oh yes, but what about you? You do this thing and you do that thing, and finding out where they're wrong.
Yeah.
That's another approach, but that's out of our remit in this particular Quackcast.
Yeah. I mean, other than to say like the hard way, and I know this more from friends who had more mature relationships and more long-term things and everything. See like what they have to work through sometimes. It can be long conversations trying to deal with each other and all the baggage. I don't mean in a bad way. I mean like we all have sort of baggage we bring forward in life, and trying to deal with the problems that come up because of that, and you have to go pretty deep sometimes and to resolve these things. And they, I know about hours long conversations people have had to have.
Oh my god, hours long. Well, speaking of that, we're just over an hour, so we will have to finish this cast.
Tell your sister you were right about me.
And we're both wrong. I admit that now. I can understand. Baines, your Star Wars references.
I screwed up the quote, and people are going to come at me, and it's okay. I deserve it.
We admit everything. Okay.
Take care,
Thanks for
everybody.
listening. Yeah, thanks for listening to Quackcast number 706. Bye-bye.
Bye.